Welcome back to another episode of Debatable with your hosts, Nina and Kyle. I'm Nina.
I'm Kyle. For this episode, we interrupt our usual programming to make an announcement.
So, if you've been following our social media accounts, which maybe you probably should, by the way, you'd know that Kyle and I have a rather big project coming up. But for the purposes of our listeners, we decided to make a formal announcement here as well and give you the details that you need to know about it.
Yeah, so we're hosting a tournament. It's called Debatable Open. It's going to be online, an Asian parliamentary tournament. It's going to be on January 9 to January 10, 2021. To find out the specifics on how to register and how to participate, observe, and the like, you can visit our Twitter page and our Facebook pages. We'll also leave links to those pages in the description. If you don't know the spelling of our Twitter handle, for example, we'll just put them in the link.
Yeah, so you don't need to worry about that. But for this episode in particular though, Kyle and I wanted to do more than just make the announcement and actually let you in on our thoughts and our efforts and what went into creating and deciding to make this thing happen. So we'll explain why we decided to host a tournament, what you can expect from the tournament, what inspired those ideas, and what else we have planned moving forward.
Yeah, because honestly, if you're surprised that we're hosting a tournament, honestly, we were surprised as well.
Yeah, so this was a last minute decision. Well, not really super duper last minute. Admittedly, I've had this on my mind for quite a while because people are always asking, like, what's next for Debatable? Will you just always be a podcast? And that was a nagging question that I had. But what eventually pushed me to finally create a tournament after almost 2 years of podcasting at this point was the tournament that I went to earlier this month, which was Padayon. And for that tournament, there were a lot of novices there, and I had a lot of fun, and I was exposed to so many newbies, and it just made my heart swell. And seeing that just sort of lit a flame in me again towards novice education. And I realized it's been a while since there has been a tournament or new mechanics in the sport, specifically for novices. I guess the last reason would be, besides the hangover of the tournament and the spark of novice education, it would be the fact that online tournaments seemed a lot easier. I mean, obviously there are difficulties as well, but a lot of the barriers that prevented me from ever imagining a tournament happening sort of fell apart because everything going online meant that planning things would also have to be online, and that was objectively easier for me to imagine.
Well, in my case, I was just the idea guy. I was after Padayon, I was talking with you, and I was like, wouldn't it be cool if we had a tournament like this, where just to shake things up? What if it didn't have an ad score? What if we put the focus on having post-debate analysis, those kinds of things. So I fell in love with the idea. So despite me being very busy, I got into the groove of it, and then I was like, yeah, let's do it. Because I knew that there would be a lot of challenges to organizing something like this, because a lot of the features have just never been done before, or they have been done before in different situations, but I don't feel like there was ever an attempt to synthesize all of these things, because I'm pretty sure that having PDAs, giving comments on judging, all of those things already exist in different places, but I didn't see a concerted effort to bring all of those pieces together. And I thought that this could be an interesting puzzle to solve, or an interesting experiment as well.
And then with that, everyone ended up going to work. So we were having that conversation not just amongst ourselves, but in front of basically the chat box for Padayon and people who were part of that tournament. So the other members of the UP Debate Society. And they were also interested in the idea. And in that one evening, an org-com was formed. So tournament directors would be Kyle and I. We also have deputy tournament directors. So hello to Ferdinand Sanchez and Jill Sandigan. We have communication directors, Bea Legaspi and CJ Carlos. We have our tech directors, which are Carlo Pastor and Tim Gamez. We have our pub director. So if you liked our publicity materials and you like our posters and our other like cutesy paraphernalia, then you can thank Jill Icardo for those things, for brightening up your timeline. We have marketing and finance director, Nicole Cancino, and we have our tab directors, Paul Bodang and Thea Madrullejo, the tab goddess herself. So all of those people we're very grateful for, because this tournament was made in a span of a week, basically, and they've been just very helpful in helping Kyle and I actualize this dream of ours.
Yeah, most of those people we got on board in the first 2 hours. We already got them on board, because basically what happened was I was talking to Nina about the idea, and then Nina was like, "Oh, this is a great idea. That's a great idea." So I brought it up to this group chat, and I was like, "Wouldn't it be great, guys, if we had a tournament like this?" And everyone really got into it, and I was like, would you guys be interested in helping us organize one, if ever?" And then I wasn't expecting people to say yes, but surprisingly, people did say yes. They were G to help organize. And I think Ferdin was saying, "Gosh, I really miss organizing tournaments." And to me, I was like, "Really? That's the kind of thing that you miss?" But okay, if
we didn't really have ascendancy, because we were the ones who were thinking of making a tournament from scratch in the first place.
Yeah. So basically, for the first 3 hours, most of the org com was already complete. And then for the next week, we were just conceptualizing our strategies, the finance plans for the tournament.
Oh god. I hate that.
Yeah. Remember we had spreadsheets for hypotheticals, what our goals were as a tournament, those kinds of things.
Yeah.
And then by the end of the week, the idea sort of took hold already. Most of it was finished. We were just tweaking wordings of possible pubs, those kinds of things na lang.
So what can you expect from this tournament? What did we conceptualize in that week of chatting, Kyle?
Well, the first thing that we really did agree on was having no AdgeCore, because when you enter into tournaments and then there's a particular set of chief adjudicators or deputy chief adjudicators, you kind of get the sense that, oh, this member of the AdgeCore specializes in this topic, and this other AdgeCore member specializes in some other topic. So if I were in AdgeCore, people would go "Oh, it's probably gonna be philosophy, it's probably gonna be law or econ or religion," and for the most part, they're probably going to be right. So because as a person who's really interested in those topics, I have a lot to say about those topics. So I was thinking, what if instead of having a dedicated AdgeCore, what if we get people to come in and contribute motions, contribute their insights onto things that they're most passionate about, and discuss those things. And after that, the next step was, okay, since we're bringing them along for their expertise, the next step should probably be let them lecture or let them teach other people about why they love this topic, or what the different angles would be if they were going to debate these topics. So that's the idea for the no AdgeCore part and the post-debate analysis part.
And it was also because we both liked the idea of also utilizing the platform we already had, and the fact that a lot of post-debate analyses are very, very limited to the tournament proper. There are no real recordings of post-debate analyses found online. So when you see a motion, you just have the rounds to refer to, and then maybe if you're lucky, you have someone who has case built the round and has uploaded their version of it. But you barely hear AdgeCore actually talking about the motions they've created and what arguments they expect people to run for that. So we figured it would be a good opportunity to make use of our platform for further education, as well as the people who would be better off talking about topics that Kyle and I might not be super duper familiar with. Also because I guess admittedly, ad scoring is very tiring. A lot of times people are too busy to commit a full weekend to being ad score. So asking them to make motions would be a lot more manageable for them, especially the older individuals who have like quote unquote retired from debate, right?
Yeah, and also, okay, so the reason why the post debate analysis will just be pre recorded and then it will be like aired first and foremost during the tournament is because the fact that it's pre recorded lowers the barrier to entry. So
Yeah.
it's much easier for like really busy motion contributors to be G for this kind of thing if they could just if it was super flexible to their schedule. So that's part of why we did what we did. And yeah, there will be like we're going to be releasing the interview twice. The first time we're going to be releasing it will be during the tournament itself. Because in as much as you wanna give that opportunity to everyone, even if they're not in the tournament, our first and foremost responsibility and priority we recognize should be the people in the tournament itself. And then the second time we're going to release it, we're going to be releasing it will be after the tournament, and those will be like our episodes na.
Yeah. So besides that, we also figured out a way to help the judge pool as well, because we recognize the post-debate analyses would be really helpful for debaters, but we also didn't want to leave judges behind. So we figured we would have a live judge feedback system. So of course, judges will still not be able to see their scores, but we do want them to be able to see the written feedback debaters have left for them. And the logic here, at least for me, is that it would be the equivalent of getting personal comments. Because we have learned as debaters how to accept personal comments, and as judges how to give personal comments without hinting at what the score is going to be anyway. So I don't see why we can't do the same thing for judges, and that's the kind of thing I wanted to normalize moving forward.
Yeah, and there's also this idea where someone asked us like, what if people are too harsh to their judges and their feedbacks? And we said that actually maybe a way for people to be less harsh and more critical, like more objective, would be through the use of feedback. So it's more like personal comments in that sense. Like, yes, your personal comments from your judge might be harsh, or they might not be, but there's already an incentive to be as objective as possible, because the goal of the personal comment is to help the debater improve and grow. And that's the same like attitude that debaters should be taking when they're writing their feedback, because I think right now the way that we approach feedback is we're not really trying to talk to the judge, we're trying to talk to AdScore. So for example, like if you write a complaint, if you give your judge a 1, it's going to be it's going to be like an essay trying to tell AdScore that this judge wasn't that good in that oral adjudication.
Can I just say though, I don't understand why people do that, because even if they write it in Tabber, they still have to approach AdScore anyway. So I figured like by now people should realize that AdScore doesn't actually read all the feedback that they receive on Tabber, because it's going to take them forever to go through that in the first place. So I'm like, you're right that people do write feedback because they feel like they're talking to AdScore, but I don't think that was ever the intention of Tabber when that feature was created. Or was it? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't think it was ever the intention to like just the feedbacks being used to talk to AdScore. But like, I think the reason why this practice came about is because whenever you like declare a soft conflict with a 1, for example, in order for that to make sense, AdScores typically like go to the debater and then ask,
why
did you do this? Why did you do this? So the practice matured such that feedback was like the preliminary step before the AdScore interview asking why a 1 was given. So I think we have to like change that, because you're basically like, it's not supposed to be like a complaint form. It's supposed to be like helping the judge improve. And I think the practice that we have right now sort of forgot that. So we want to either make people remember what the feedback forms are supposed to be about, or let's at least change the attitude, or start changing the attitude towards giving comments, more constructive comments towards a judge. Because we expect the same from our judges. Why can't we expect, as judges, the same from debaters, right?
Yeah, the other thing people would say though, at least what we got as comments would be, well, they can still see the feedback after anyway. Why did we have to make it live? And for me, the simple answer would be because at the end of the tournament, it's too late. We'd want them to constantly improve as the tournament goes on, the same way debaters get to improve as the tournament goes on. So I felt it was only fair if both got an equal shot of like constantly improving and the opportunities to do so. Yeah, that's all.
Yeah, and then obviously we have like the next step would be, let's have novice breaks, let's have judge subsidies, those kinds of things. So I think what's really interesting here is we started from this weird idea of having no AdScore. And then I think from that we said, oh, this would be a good opportunity to focus on education. And then everything came after that. After we thought about having motion contributors, once we realized it would be good for education purposes, that's when we thought about post-debate analysis. And then after that we said, but what would the judges get in terms of education? And that's where we put the live judge feedback system. So I like it because we approached it the same way we would approach prep. Like we have like a central goal, or like I don't know, what do you call that? Like a stance.
A burden? No, not really.
No, not a burden. But it's
goal?
like your central stance. In this case, it's like education, and then all the pros and all of the arguments are trying to get to that central goal. That's basically how we prep. It's just like, it doesn't take us 5 days to do that.
Yeah, we just prepped an entire tournament. It's just a longer version. And we even had preemptions, Kyle. We
did have preemptions as well.
Like a lot of the concerns people had about like the tournament.
Yeah, so anyway, hopefully that gave all of you an idea of what to expect for next year. We also hope that we've convinced some of you to sign up and register for the tournament if you haven't yet.
We also wish that if you're from another circuit listening to this, or another institution, that this episode also gave you ideas on how you can change up online debating or debating in general to be much more accommodating and enriching than it already is.
Yeah, so that's it for this episode of Debatable. We're returning to our regular programming again soon, so don't worry. Episodes won't stop altogether just because of this tournament. So we'll see you again in the next episode. Bye-bye.
Bye.